New York City has a rat problem that is, to put it mildly, out of control. We're talking millions of them. So officials greenlit a shocking plan: release hundreds of feral cats to reclaim the streets. They were supposed to be a silent furry cleanup crew, but not all things are what they seem. These cats weren't just unleashed, they were walking into a situation nobody had prepared them for. The rats weren't scared, and the solution the city paid for? It backfired in a way that is truly mind-blowing. When vermin win, but not just any rats. We are talking about the Norway rat, Rattus norvegicus. These are not small, timid field mice. The New York rat is a survivor. It's a monster of evolution. These creatures can be huge, with some reports claiming they reach the size of a small house cat, easily weighing over a pound. They can chew through electrical wires, plastic, wood, and even, given time, concrete and soft metals. Their teeth are harder than iron and never stop growing, so they must chew to survive. The thing nobody tells you is just how many there are. The official estimate is around 2 million rats, one for every 4 humans in the city. But many people who live there, the people on the front lines, think that number is laughably low. Some experts say the true number could be 8 million, or even more. The rats have created an empire beneath the city, a sprawling dark kingdom that humans only glimpse. They navigate the sewers and subway tunnels like a highway system, and they breed. To put it mildly, they breed at a shocking rate. A single female rat can have up to a dozen babies every few weeks. A single pair of rats, if left unchecked, could have over 15,000 descendants in a single year. It's an invasion that never, ever stops. This isn't just a pest problem, it's a permanent occupation. These aren't just dumb animals either. Their intelligence is what makes them truly terrifying. They can learn, they can solve problems, and they communicate. They have a highly developed sense of smell and can detect a trace of poison in a bait trap, warning the rest of the colony to stay away. They are also, to put it mildly, escape artists. A rat's skeleton is so flexible it can collapse its own rib cage to squeeze through a hole the size of a quarter. If its head fits, its entire body can follow. For decades, New York has been at war with this empire, and for decades, New York has been losing. The city created the office of Rat Czar, a single person whose entire job is to figure out how to handle the rodent problem. They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried everything. They tried high-tech traps that send a text message when they catch a rat. The rats learn to avoid them. They tried drowning traps. The rats, who are excellent swimmers and can hold their breath for 3 minutes, just swam out. They tried poison. This is the big one. The city has dumped literal tons of poison pellets into parks and subway tunnels. Here's the kicker: the rats are winning that fight too. Many of them have evolved a genetic resistance to the most common poisons. They eat the pellets like snacks. The poison that does work, a powerful type that causes internal bleeding, has a terrible side effect. It also harms the hawks, eagles, and owls that are the rat's natural predators. When a hawk eats a poisoned rat, it gets poisoned too. The city's solution was taking out its own allies. You see, the city was stuck. The rats were smarter than the traps and tougher than the poison. They were causing fires by chewing wires. They were scaring tourists. They were spreading disease. The situation was desperate, and when people get desperate, they come up with wild ideas. The city needed a new weapon, a weapon that was cheap, natural, and ruthlessly efficient. They looked at the rat's ancient, sworn enemy, an animal that was already living on the streets by the hundreds of thousands. They needed an army. The city needed a new weapon, and they found one that was furry and feral. Nature's Fix. The idea was so simple, it was brilliant. Or, as it turns out, so simple, it was deeply flawed. The idea was this: if you have a rat problem, you get a cat. If you have a plague of rats, you get an army of cats. It sounds like something from a cartoon. Just release hundreds, maybe thousands of feral cats into the most infested neighborhoods in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Manhattan. Let the cats do what cats do. Nature would balance itself out. The rats would be gone and the cats would get a free meal. A win-win. But not all things are what they seem. This wasn't a case of the mayor showing up with a truck full of cats and just opening the doors. The real story is much stranger and more complex. You see, the city didn't officially release hundreds of cats all at once. Instead, they supported, and in some cases funded, something that was already happening in the shadows. It's called the Working Cat Program, or sometimes the Blue Paw Program. Here's how it works. New York City, just like it has a rat problem, has a feral cat problem. There are an estimated 500,000 homeless cats living on the streets. Shelters are overflowing. They don't have enough space or money to care for them all. Many of these cats are not friendly. They've lived their whole lives outside. They can't be adopted as pets. They are truly wild animals. So, volunteer groups had an idea. This is the TNR program, which stands for Trap, Neuter, Return. They trap these cats in humane cages. They take them to a vet. They are spayed or neutered, so they can't make more homeless cats, and given their shots so they don't spread disease. Their ears are tipped, a tiny painless snip on the tip of one ear. This is the universal sign that a feral cat has been processed. Then comes the job. Instead of being returned to the shelter, where many would be put down due to lack of space, these working cats are offered to businesses and homeowners who have a rat problem. A deli owner, a factory manager, or a community garden can hire a few of these cats. The deal is simple. The owner provides a little shelter, like a small doghouse, some clean water, and a bit of cat food every day. In return, the cats live on the property and do what they supposedly do best: hunt. This program became the city's unofficial, quiet way of releasing hundreds of cats. It wasn't one big event. It was a slow, steady deployment. Dozens of groups like the NYC Feral Cat Initiative and Alley Cat Allies were placing these cats all over the 5 boroughs. The city saw it as a green alternative to poison. It felt good. It was humane. It was natural. And at first, the stories sounded amazing. The media in particular was crazy about this. Local news channels ran feel-good stories showing a tough-looking tabby cat patrolling a bodega. The narrative was perfect. The cats were cleaning up the streets. A deli in Queens that was overrun with rats hired 3 feral cats. Within a month, the owner claimed he hadn't seen a single rodent. A community garden in the Bronx where rats were eating all the vegetables adopted a small colony of 4 cats. The rats vanished. The story was a huge success. It was the perfect New York story. Scrappy, resourceful, and a little bit wild. Everyone was convinced this was it. The public loved it. The politicians loved it. The animal rescue groups loved it. The plan was working. The city was finally fighting back against the rat empire with a furry, purring army. Everyone was celebrating. But what many overlooked was that nobody was actually watching what was happening on the streets. They saw the results, fewer rats, but they didn't see the process. Until one group of scientists decided to find out what really happens when a New York cat meets a New York rat. The feline army was in place, but they were about to meet the New York rat, the fight that never was. When the city and the news channels celebrated the Working Cat Program, they all had the same image in their heads. They pictured a scrappy alley cat, a lean hunter stalking a giant rat through a dark alley. They pictured a dramatic, fast-paced battle and a clear winner. This is what we've all been taught. Cats hunt rodents. It's what they do. The shock that the title of this story promises isn't that the cats lost the war. The shock is that the war never even happened. A group of scientists from Fordham University decided to study this. They didn't rely on stories from deli owners. They wanted to see it for themselves. So they went to one of the most rat-infested places they could find, a waste management facility in Brooklyn. It was a giant warehouse full of garbage, a perfect home for rats. And it was also home to a colony of feral cats. It was the perfect laboratory. The scientists set up high-definition night vision cameras. They tagged the rats and the cats so they could track their movements. They settled in to watch the epic battle between predator and prey. For 5 months, they recorded everything. They gathered over 100,000 hours of footage. Here's the kicker. The cats and rats crossed paths hundreds of times. The scientists recorded 306 interactions where a cat and a rat were in the same small space at the same time, and what they saw stunned them. The cats mostly ignored the rats mostly ignored the cats. They would walk past each other, sometimes just feet apart, and go about their business. The cats would sniff the garbage, and the rats would sniff the garbage. There was no epic war. There was no battle. It was, to put it mildly, a massive disappointment. Out of those 306 interactions, the scientists saw a cat stalk a rat only 21 times. Most of the time, the cat would just watch the rat for a few seconds and then, bored, would walk away. But it gets even crazier. Out of those 21 attempts, how many times did a cat actually chase a rat? Only 3 times. And how many rats were actually eliminated? 2. In 5 months, in a warehouse packed with rats and cats, the feline army took out 2 rats. The scientists realized the truth. A New York City, Norway rat is not a mouse. It's a 1-pound ferocious brawler. Most of the feral cats, even the hungry ones, are not stupid. They are making a very smart business decision. Think about it. Why would a cat risk a serious fight with a 1-pound rat that's armed with teeth harder than iron? A single bite from a rat can cause a serious infection like leptospirosis or an abscess that could be fatal for a feral cat with no vet care. The risk is huge, and the reward, a tough, stringy meal. It's just not worth it, especially when the humans who hired them are leaving out a bowl of perfectly good, safe, and easy cat food just a few feet away. The cats weren't hunters. They were just lazy employees. So wait a minute, what about the deli owner? What about the community garden? They said the rats vanished. Were they lying? No. And this is the real shock. The study found the answer to that too. The cats were having an effect, just not the one anyone expected. The rats weren't being hunted, they were being bullied. The Fordham study found that the rats hated having the cats around. The smell of the cats, their presence, it put the rats on edge. They could smell their ancient predator, and it terrified them. The rats became nervous. They spent less time out in the open. They hid more. They foraged for food less. And, eventually, they just left. They packed up and moved to the next block, the next alley, the next building that didn't have a cat patrol. The cats weren't a removal service. They were a deterrent. They were like a furry live-in scarecrow. They were eliminating the rat problem in one spot, but what many overlooked is that they were just moving it somewhere else. They weren't solving the city's rat problem at all. They were just passing it along. The cats weren't the solution, but they were causing a whole new problem. A problem of our own making. Here's the thing. The plan to use cats to fix the rat problem was based on a total myth. The cats weren't the super hunters everyone thought they were. They were just pushing the rats from one street to the next, like a never-ending game of whack-a-mole. But the story doesn't end there. The shocking part isn't just that the plan failed, it's that it had unintended consequences that might be even worse than the rats. Let's be real for a second. What do cats actually hunt? The Fordham study gave us a clue. While the cats were ignoring the rats, they were not ignoring the other wildlife. The real victims were birds. Unlike a 1-pound brawling rat, a small sparrow or a pigeon is an easy target. It's what cats are biologically designed to hunt. Feral and outdoor cats are recognized by scientists as one of the single greatest threats to bird populations. They are an invasive species. They don't belong in the North American ecosystem. Here is a wow factor that is truly terrifying. Scientists estimate that free-roaming cats, including feral and pet cats, are responsible for the loss of, wait for it, between 1.3 and 4 billion birds every single year in the United States alone. Billions, with a B. And that's not all. They also eliminate over 6 billion small mammals every year. We're talking shrews, voles, and chipmunks. So while New York was hiring these cats to deal with the rats, they were accidentally paying them to wipe out the city's native songbirds, the blue jays, the robins, the sparrows. They were the ones paying the ultimate price for the city's rat problem. The cats were also hunting small mammals, further wrecking the local food web. They were, in effect, a second furrier plague. And it doesn't stop there. The cats themselves are a public health concern. They can carry diseases like toxoplasmosis, which can be very dangerous to pregnant women and people with weak immune systems. Their waste can contaminate soil and water. The working cat program was, in many ways, just trading one pest for another. So let's get down to earth, like we're just two friends talking. Are we missing a key detail here? Did the city really think this would work? Or was it just a good public relations move to look like they were doing something green? The thing is, many people are crazy about this idea. They want it to be true. They see the cats as a romantic, natural solution. But the shocking truth is that there is no magic furry bullet. The problem was never that the city had too few cats. The problem is that the city has too much trash. The real solution to the rat empire is, to put it mildly, boring. It's not a secret army of predators. It's a better trash can. New York City, the greatest, richest, and most powerful city on the planet. But for decades, it has been locked in a losing war with an enemy that lives right under its feet. An underground empire that thrives in the shadows, built on our garbage. The New York City rat. For generations, the city has tried everything. We've used floods. We've used poison. We've tried to trap them. We even laughably tried to hire a rival army. You heard that right. For years, the city's unofficial, unspoken-of plan was the bodega cat. The theory was simple, like something out of a cartoon. Unleash an army of feline predators to hunt the rats into submission. We all bought into the fantasy. We pictured brave cats defending the sidewalks, a furry thin line protecting us from the horde. But it was a total failure. Why? Because nobody bothered to ask the cats. A well-fed bodega cat sleeping on a warm bag of chips has zero interest in a back alley street fight with a 2-pound sewer-hardened rat. And why would it? The rats were just as happy to eat the cat's food. More importantly, why would either of them fight when the city was providing an open, all-you-can-eat buffet 24/7 right on the sidewalk? The cats were a magical, easy fix. And like all magical, easy fixes, it was a fantasy. The rat empire just kept growing, feasting on our laziness. Then in 2023, the city finally started to face this. The breaking point was reached. The city government did something it only does in times of true desperation. They appointed a czar. Not a transportation czar or a finance czar. A rat czar. A single person whose entire job was to do the impossible, win the war. The new plan was announced. And it wasn't about cats. It wasn't about better poison or smarter traps. It was about containers. The city is spending millions of dollars to get all of those black plastic trash bags off the streets. For decades, New York was one of the only major cities in the world that just piled its garbage on the sidewalk. Millions of thin plastic bags overflowing with food. We might as well have been hand-delivering written invitations. It was a 24/7 buffet for the rat empire. That was the source of their power. The new plan mandates that all businesses and eventually all residences must put their trash in hard plastic containers that rats can't chew through. It's a siege. They are cutting off the food supply. The city finally realized you don't fight the rats. You fight their food. The rats aren't resistant to starvation. If there is no food, the population cannot be sustained. The rat empire will collapse. It's simple, it's expensive, and it's probably the only thing that will ever actually work. But the thing nobody tells you is how hard that simple solution is. It means changing the daily habits of over 8 million people. It means telling a landlord who has run a 50-unit building the same way for 40 years that his entire system is obsolete. It means finding space for massive, ugly plastic bins on narrow, 300-year-old streets. It means redesigning the city's entire sanitation system and buying thousands of new different trucks. Trucks built to lift and dump these specific bins, not just be loaded up by hand. It's a logistical nightmare. The story of the cats and the rats isn't really about cats and rats, it's about humans. We created the problem with our waste. We looked for an easy, magical fix, and we ended up making things worse, feeding both the cats and the rats. The real solution was always there. It was just harder, and it required us to change, not the animals. The city is failing. So who is the real pest? The rats, the cats, or us? Let us know below. Like and subscribe for more.